Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be going over how to adjust the waist of your jeans to make them smaller. So before we get into the video, I just want to show you some of the supplies you'll need. So you're going to need pins, pins or clips. You're going to need like a marker or a chalk, that way you can mark, how much you're taking off. You're going to need a seam ripper, or if you want to use scissors, that could work, but a seam ripper is going to work best. And then you'll need a heavy duty needle, a heavy duty or a denim needle. Right, we're working with jeans, so that is very thick fabric and you want to make sure you're not breaking your needle. And then you can opt for like jean thread. Right, it's going to be a thicker thread. You don't need it. If you just want to use black or whatever color, that's fine as well. If you want to use like this color, you can opt to use that as well, but it's not needed. But you're definitely going to need like a seam ripper and like some markings, clips, or a pin. So yeah, let's get into the video. Okay, so here are the jeans that I'm going to be altering. As you see, they are a bit loose, so what you want to do is pull them up to where you want them to sit on your waist. Then you will pull it to the back as tight as you want it to sit as well, and then you're going to just get a clip. It's easier if you have someone else do it for you, and that way you know exactly how tight it will be when you put them on. Now we have the jeans here. As you see, I kept the clip on there, that way that you know exactly how much you want to take off. You can also opt to use a pair of chalk and just mark it on both sides, or even just a marker. This is easier for you guys to see, I'm sure. So as you see, I'm just marking it here and just mark it on both sides right where the clip is, about 3 inches I'd say on in total. So 3 inches, so 3 inches, that's about 1.5 inches on each side of the jeans. So now we're just going to measure the pockets here. You can just fold these pockets in half, and then you can make a dot so you know that's where the middle is. And then just do the same here on this side. You can do this or you can measure it. So you just want to draw that line here on both sides, and this is how we know it's going to be, the dart is going to remain in the middle of the pocket, right? It doesn't have to be exact, but you do want to make sure it's as close as possible, that way you know it looks more professional. So we're going to remove the thread here from the top and bottom of the jean. We're going to remove the top belt loop here, so only the top, seam ripper, and just remove it on the top there.
And what I'm doing is just finding the thread and cutting it off.
Here we removed the belt loop. You only want to remove the top. There's no need to remove the bottom. This, you can just leave it down. We're going to pin this down later so it's not in our way. Now what we're going to do is simply, we don't have to remove the top band, really just need to remove the bottom. So the dart, we want to remove from maybe around here to here, just to give ourselves enough room. So we can just, after you seam rip like the first few, it should come out fairly easily. So at this point I did enough, and you can see it's starting to kind of come out. So we're just going to do a little bit more. And then at this point, now that we did a few, right, it comes out quite seamlessly. Cool. And it comes right out. Right, we want to make sure we're stopping about there. Just save this, keep it aside, and you can use it when we sew this back down. So now, as you see, it comes out super easy. And then same thing goes, right? It's just super satisfying. So all we did was transfer the markings from the outside of the jeans to the inside of the jeans. We're going to do the same thing here. Just make sure it's correct. Okay, so we turned these jeans inside out. Now I'm taking off about 3 inches from the waistband. So what we take off in darts need to equal that. So we're going to do 1.5 on each side. Take this marking and draw this up the middle line here, just so we have an easier way to see it. Basically, avoid like any weird scrunching. We want to make the dart longer. If you're taking off less, you can honestly just start here and go up, but I took mine to the pocket just because I am taking off a little bit more. So I'm taking 1.5 inches, like I said, from each dart, so that equals 3 in total. So that means I need 3/4 from the line that's the middle of the dart. So we're gonna do 3/4 on each side, 3/4 of an inch. It's an inch, so 3/4 of an inch is right here. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Right, so there we go. It is smaller, so we can actually just stop right here instead of, yeah, because it's really not much at all now that I look at it. So we're just stopping right here, which is good because this is super bulky, so not everyone's machine can go over that. But we can just stop right here, like I said. So there is our dart, and as you see, it really doesn't have to be perfect. But yeah, so we're not going down here anymore. If you are taking off more, in my last video, I did take off, I think like 5 or 6 inches, so it was like 3 inches on each side. I did make sure to go down here by the pocket, and that helped, right, ease the bulking look. You want to fold this in half, and you just want to make sure these sides are even, and they do look pretty even. Doesn't have to be perfect again. And then we're just going to sew a straight stitch right here on this line. Just sew a straight stitch. Alright, so here we are at the sewing machine. So I have the clip. I really don't need this, but if you're a beginner, if you just want to use it, you know, to be sure, that's fine. So this is matched up. We want to make sure it's matched up, like I said. And you're just going to sew a straight stitch right along the edge to the end of wherever your dart is. So if you made your dart longer, you will sew to wherever that starting point is. Again, we just want to make sure everything is lined up, so you'll see me check this a few times. You can reverse stitch, right? And then just continue to stitch as normal. Here is this bulky part. So normally, like if you were sewing into the pocket, you would have to sew through this. So when you sew through this, if you are doing a larger dart, you want to make sure you go slow, you use your hand needle, because if you just put your foot on that pedal and sew straight through, you can break a needle or even break your machine, especially depending on the type of machine you have. And then you also want to make sure you're using a needle for like heavy duty or a denim needle. That way it's big enough to go straight through that fabric. Push it through. And now we're at the edge here. So now I'm just going to lift up my foot and pull it. So just take some snips, cut that. Here's how it looks. As you see, like I said, it doesn't have to be exact, but the goal is just to get a straight stitch there. This end part here, you're just going to tie a knot a few times. So just tie this until you see fit. This is how it looks in the front, so it does look pretty good. And you're just gonna do what we did here. on both sides. So you'll do that same thing right here. Right, this is how it looked. I sewed the dart on both sides. So as you saw, we did exactly, we sewed right on that line that we made. So now what you can do at this point is try on these jeans and just make sure that it fits properly, right? That everything sits as you would. If you want it tighter or if you want it looser, you can always undo these stitches. And what you can opt to do if you're new, right, and you're like, maybe this might not fit, you can always just bring these together and you can sew a straight stitch here, and then again just try on the jeans to see if they fit like you would like. If it doesn't fit, if it's too tight, you can always unstitch it and then adjust it bigger or smaller. For me, like I said, I know, so all we're gonna do is cut these lines here and cut here. Okay, so in the beginning of the video I did mention that we only had to undo the bottom of the belt loop, so I take that back. You are gonna have to undo the top of the belt loop as well. You don't have to do the full belt loop though. I only undid this much of the top of the belt loop, just to, you know, make it easier from undoing everything. And what you're gonna do is sew the bottom two together like this and just sew a straight stitch on the bottom belt loop, and then the top belt loop you will do the same sides together as you see. This is what it looks like. You sew one side and then you sew the other side. Now we're gonna take this to the machine and we're gonna put this inside. I'm gonna cut these and then we're gonna put this inside here. That way everything can start lining up. Okay, so I cut off this side already, right? And we're just gonna do the same thing here. Just cut this off. And you can also opt to do like a zigzag stitch here if you want. Put this part back in its correct position. So we just want to line that up there. Make sure it's nice and smooth, sitting fairly nicely. And you want to make sure it's even on both sides. So that looks pretty good on both sides. Just gonna hold that and then we're going to pin it so it stays in place, and just continue to do that. Just make sure, see, this part is showing. That's how we know we need to pull this part up. Now everything looks good. Just double check on both sides that everything is even. Right, and again, keep that belt loop out the way. Now we're going to bring it to the machine and let's go. This is how it's looking so far. Stitched up the top and the bottom, so everything looks pretty good. This part, as you see, I didn't follow my own tip where I did, but since I was sewing where I could see this part didn't match up. So just make sure that you line it up on both sides so that this is in the indentation. But besides that, not a huge deal. You cover it up and really you can't tell too much. Now usually in the past I've sewn with the sewing machine over this belt loop, but I'm not gonna do it just because this one seems pretty thicker than normal. So I'm just gonna actually just hand stitch this belt loop to this part. So I really love how they fit. You know, before, as you saw, it was like really just loose and it didn't fit me. This hugs my waist and it just fits perfectly. Bulging in the back there because I did notice on the darts I didn't sew exactly on the line, so the darts were a bit smaller, meaning I probably took a little less than 3 inches, while on the waist I took exactly 3 inches, so that's why you see a little bit of bulging. So just make sure if you're taking 3 inches off the waist, you take it off the pin itself. Otherwise, you may have to deal with these irregularities. Otherwise, I'm pretty fine. Like I said, I didn't mind that too much just because I do like the grungy look. But like and follow if you thought this video was helpful.